How much you think you are your essence, your true self? It's a very critical question. Reason I'm asking this question is the research shows average person is 90% of the time not his true self when he acts or she acts or make a decision or talk. So how could that happen? That we, most of the time, are not our true self. When we are not our true self, who we are conditioned self, our conditioned self. And here is the problem. We accept from the very childhood, very early days of our life, what we get from outside, external messages, the impact, the effect of all those factors, elements, such as our culture, our belief, not examined belief, just passed to us, tradition, our family, our geographical background, race, our occupation, our people who we associate with, our way of dealing with problems in past that we recorded, keep it in our subconscious mind, and they come up to respond to the present time based on those records which are not anymore applicable to the present time. But that 90% of the time, those memories, those recorded habits, they come to affect our decision and our acts, while the main part of us, which is our conscious mind, is sort of dormant. As a result, we react impulsively. Our subconscious mind is giving us something to say, especially in today's culture, my friends, which we rush in this so much commercialized world, materialistic culture, that all there is to attract is profit and power. We don't think to be ourselves. We follow those assumptions we had from the past. They're ready to work, and we respond. And sometimes it's a disaster, the result. Not only individual in a micro level, in individuals like you and me, but in macro level, between the nations, leaders, they also, same way, act not as their true self, but the conditioned self. So, what is the true self, you may think? Yes, it's true that 90% of the time we are not our true self. So what is that true self? It's our conscious mind that is based on reason, the truth, to verify, question, and find what is there, not what the others say, or our subconscious mind says, or our habit says, or we have assumed, or we have agreed, or we have made the paradigm of our mind, the framework of our mind, that automatically by that frame we go to judge the present situation. And that result, as I said, is disastrous, because it's just like you're relying on mirage instead of the reality. And the problem is that 90% of the time, that's what we are, our conditioned self. Now, how that true self we can activate it and use it, and what exactly it is. Well, that is the hard part of the equation. We don't know where it comes from. It is consciousness and awareness. In appearance, it is coming from our mind, our billions of neurons. But in reality, no, there's nothing but just fat in what we have in our brain. It is, if you wish to use metaphor to get the idea, it is just like a beam of light. It comes from somewhere and enlightens us. And that enlightenment is making us human. That's as simple as that. While when we do not use it, we are not really human. Those things that they are the attributes of human is different from what comes from our conditioned self. Our conditioned self can make us jealous, greedy, being malicious, hating, being aggressive, and lie, not being trustworthy, not being reliable. These are not your true self. That beam of light rejects those things, but your conditioned self accepts it, because it's the voice of ego, in addition of what we have from the past, like habits and culture, else. Also the ego, which is looking only at our immediate selfish interest, and it tells us to ignore the truth outside. And unnoticed, or in fact, automatically, impulsively, we go to follow the forms, the shell, the layers and titles and labels. All those, as I said, they're external. They're not from the beam of light inside us, the reason and the truth that is pure and free from all those jealousy, as I said, or temptation to go for whatever the ego says. That true self is pure and free from all those bad things, as I say, is associated to our ego and our assumptions and our just automatic response, impulsive response. The consequence is even more concerning, because by losing this contact of our true self, we're losing our authenticity as a human. We're no longer authentic human, even without noticing. So it's very important, extremely important, to just pause at any time that we are giving a statement, taking a step towards something or acting something. And I should advise this to all our leaders all across the board. Please act as your true self. So ultimately, when we lose contact with our true self, we also lose the meaning, the purpose of life, the transcendence. There's not to forget that we are in this world, in our journey of life that ends, physically our body perishes, but not our beam of light. Through this period, we are here to transcend. In other words, becoming more and more human. And that also means being more greater individuals, because we realize that this beam of light of consciousness is not only coming to us, to everybody. So they're all part of us. Then comes the loving and caring relations with everybody else that can replace that conditioned self, which is always looking for the aggression and competition, even vicious competition, and all those type of, in fact, legacy of wildlife. So it's all lost when we lose contact with our real self. And finally, what can be done? I believe the best thing is that we question ourselves. Not questioning anybody else first, about questioning ourselves. A single word we are saying, single step we are taking, thinking, is it me? Am I sure I'm free of jealousy, of prejudice, or any other under any other pressure of any other factors? I'm not free and not myself, or I am just following my real conscience that every single human has it, that judging himself or herself. But let's keep in mind, but one time questioning doesn't solve the problem. That search, as I said at the beginning, showed that we ordinarily, almost all of us, are subject to this problem, or we fail to be ourselves, to our true self. So we have to continuously check ourselves, continuously use this pause to ask ourselves, am I myself? Is it true you who are acting, or the conditioned self? Thank you.